Ron, meanwhile, as we continue our coverage, Nebraska Republican Senator Pete Ricketts says the United States should work to provide necessary aid to Israel after the conflict with militant organization Hamas. More than 1,000 people have been killed along the Gaza Strip as of this afternoon. Senator Ricketts said the U.S. should stand with Israel and provide what's needed in form of support and aid.
We stand with Israel. This is a horrific attack. And not only do I support the aid for Israel, but my team right now is working on a package to defund the Palestinian Authority. They allowed this attack to happen. And if they're not a real government that couldn't stop this attack from happening, they don't deserve our taxpayer dollars anyway.
Additionally, Senator Ricketts, who serves on the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, is one of 20 Republican senators to sign a letter to send to President Biden and the State Department. That letter is asking President Biden to rescind the transfer of $6 billion in Iranian oil assets that were held in a restricted account in South Korea. That was part of a high-stakes deal to free 5 wrongfully detained Americans. He says that money is becoming more accessible to Iran, and he believes that money could fund terrorism activities.
This was part of the deal to be able to get essentially buy our hostages back from Iran, which is a terrible policy in the first place. And the money had moved from South Korea to Qatar, and that's why we're asking him to stop it right there before it gets to Iran.
Senator Ricketts says he wants the negotiations to continue to free hostages in Iran, but does not agree with paying to get those hostages back. He also supports and says he will continue to support that aid to the Ukraine. He says if Russian President Vladimir Putin can be successful in Ukraine, it will ultimately lead to him doing something similar in the Baltic states, which would then directly involve, he says, American lives.